did I hear what I just hear? I sit back on the bench and I go, Dan, AC just got fired up there and Trace is the manager of the Boston Red Sox. And it was just like, huh? And then my thought was like, I look out in the field and I'm like, what am I gonna do right now? Like, trying to get through this game. But again, that was all just a blur and a haze. That seemed like that all happened within 20, 30 minutes. That happened within 2 minutes. I'm Iggy Suarez, and this is Castle's Corner Podcast.
Hi, I'm joined today by WooSox acting manager Iggy Suarez on Castle's Corner. Iggy, thanks for popping to Castle's Corner today. Obviously, busy morning. You were in the diner at the interview and getting ready for a game. Thanks for coming in.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I mean, you kind of put a dent in my morning routine, but I guess I had a couple minutes. I figured I'd come in and join you for.
Hopefully, a couple Red Bulls, a quick lift session.
Yeah, a little bit. Kind of get that early morning started. For sure.
I know you'd like to get the blood going, but like I mentioned, Iggy is the acting manager of the Worcester Red Sox, the AAA affiliate of the Boston Red Sox. Iggy, you recently gained this title after WooSox manager Chad Tracy was called up to the big leagues to take over for Alex Cora with the Boston Red Sox. I want to get back to that wild Saturday here at Polar Park, where everything went down with Boston and Worcester. So, what was that day like for you?
I mean, the starting of that day was normal because that news came out of nowhere. We had no idea what was going on. You kind of hear the noise of what's going on, how they're playing, and we know that. But ultimately, when all that stuff went down, we had no idea. I mean, it's about the third or fourth inning. I'm coming in from coaching third and going to the lineup card to kind of lining things up. And our mental skills coordinator, Jake, comes down on the phone, kind of frantically yelling for Trace, like, hey, you need to go in and get on a call. So we're like, okay. So like that kind of energy and excitement was like, okay, it's probably a playroom. Something happened. They had an earlier game. Something might have come up. So now you start speculating, okay, did somebody go down? Did somebody get hurt? So then Trace is like, hey, Iggy, run things a little bit. I got to go inside and take this call. So like, somebody had asked like, hey, is everything okay? Like the family okay? And he was like, no, it's good. I just got to call Abe's and see what's going on. Perfect. I've held it down for an inning before for Trace. So I kind of sit down here, we get through the inning, I go out, coach third, come back in, I'm standing kind of looking down the tunnel like, okay, Trace hasn't come back yet. I go back out, coach third, I'm looking to see if Trace is back in his seat in the bench. I'm like, he still hasn't come back out yet. It's been about 2 innings. I come back in and now it's like, you're starting to think something's going down and something's up. And then went back out for one more inning and now I'm starting to get a little antsy. I got to see what's going on. So like I had a couple seconds, so I literally come down the steps and take off sprinting into the clubhouse's office's doors closed. So I'm like, ooh, this is not good. And then Getty was like, hey, you can stick your head in there. He's in there. So I kind of knock on the door, stick my head in. And he's out of uniform. He's in regular WooSox shorts, t-shirt. And I'm like, what's going on here? He's like, hey, you're doing a good job out there. And I'm like, I didn't come for that. Like that wasn't what I was asking. I feel like I thought I asked the question, but I didn't. So it was like, I didn't come in for that. Like, was everything okay? What's up? Because I'm sure you heard. I'm like, no, I don't. So this is all happening within a couple seconds. I'm trying to get answers out of it. He was like, Alex got let go, and I'm going to be the manager of the Red Sox. And I was like, holy crap. Like, really? He goes, yeah. And I think when he said it, he was realizing like, yeah, this is all happening. Gave him a quick hug. And then I realized Colin Hetzler's sitting there next to him, and I'm like, and he's out of uniform, and I'm like, what are you doing here? I'm like, are you going too? He goes, yeah. And I'm like, holy crap. So that hug game, I was like, I got to go. Mind you, the feed of our game is on TV, and I'm like, I got a game to manage, I guess. And he was like, you go do a good job, you'll be all right. So I'm running, sprinting back like, did I hear what I just hear? I sit back on the bench, and I go, Dan, AC just got fired up there, and Trace is the manager of the Boston Red Sox. And it was just like, huh? And then my thought was like, I look out in the field and I'm like, what am I gonna do right now? Like, trying to get through this game. But again, that was all just a blur and a haze. That seemed like that all happened within 20, 30 minutes. That happened within 2 minutes. And so just imagine the mind of all of us going into the players are kind of like, damn, is everything okay? They're worried about trades or this and that. And people are, I'm hearing fans saying something that made a move up there. And I'm like, I don't know yet. Even though I kind of knew. But I'm like, I'm trying to process this and game was over. Yeah, and it happened really quick in the span of the 3 minutes of that inning, for sure.
That was probably the craziest day here for me as a reporter, and probably for you in your year and a half here so far. We never had a manager call up, right? We've had player call ups, we've had people get injured or whatnot happen here. But for that to happen in the middle of a game where stuff is going on in Boston and the people here in Worcester are getting moved around and promoted, right? So that was crazy. But how was the rest of the day? Like, I know you said it felt like a blur, the game. Like, you're taking over. I know at the end of the game, you were in this dugout collecting that scorecard, which actually was Chad Tracy's last win as the WooSox manager. You did a good job of not giving that out to a fan. And then next day, you're here managing as the acting manager of the WooSox, getting your first scorecard as a win too. Like, how was that 24 hours, and what do you do in the game of baseball when that happens?
Yeah, I mean, you try to get in a spot where it's as routine, as normal as possible. Like, we're creatures of habit. So it's almost like, let's get away from all the noise. We're going to deal with it. Let's get to a place where we're comfortable and calm. And that's the game. You know, first pitch, let's get through the nerves leading up to it. Then when the game, it's the game. That's where we're comfortable. So fortunate for me and for us, we had a quick turnaround of an early game the next day. So I couldn't wait to get back out there. I didn't really think about like, okay, I'm managing now. What am I going to do? I was like, let's get to the game. Let's get comfortable with what we're doing. So, but again, it's after the game and looking at the scorecard, and you're starting to hear the fans, you know, the news is coming out, and you're starting to hear the murmurs of, you know, AC and then Trace, and I took a minute to look at the scorecard and being like, and I'm hearing the people behind me, the fans, like, hey, Trace is the manager. Are you going to be the manager now? And I'm like, and I look at the scorecard, and I'm like, this is kind of cool. Like, this is Trace's last game, and people are asking. I talked to a fan before the game. He had asked me, hey, post-game, can I get the lineup card? And I've seen him years past when I was a manager in Greenville. So I kind of knew him. So when I saw him, I was like, oh, yeah, of course. See me after the game. And then that happened. And he is right there. Like, hey. And I'm looking at the card, and I see him. And that's when I think people saw me say, I have to keep this card. Like, and I told them, I was like, we'll work something out. We usually have 2 lineup cards, one in the bullpen. We ended up giving them that one. But to be able to kind of like, for me to stop, that was my moment to kind of really be like, okay, let me calm down a little bit. Like, there's stuff a lot of stuff's going on. I need to kind of take a breath a little bit and to kind of see that. So again, having that whirlwind of that Saturday night going to Sunday to try and slow things down, I was like, okay, we're not on the field tomorrow. It's an early game. We're hitting inside. That gives us time to kind of sit down and kind of make sure everything's normal. Try to keep everything calm, cool, and collect. And like I said, fortunately enough, we had the quick turnaround, off day, so things are slowing down now.
Yeah. Speaking of noise, we're here at Fuller Park, obviously, in the dugout. Yeah. And the second day, the first day as acting manager, you're sitting over there on the bench too. We had a media show up and ask you questions about, you know, your first day as manager, and you collected the win, which I was actually really happy, Iggy, because last year I had a story set up for you. I got all your background. We talked for 45 minutes one day, and I was going to release a story when you got your first AAA win. Unfortunately, when you filled in for Trace last year, because everyone's forced to take a little time off around the All-Star break, the team you were playing was on a red hot streak, and you lost 3 straight, so I could never do the story. So I was really happy that you got the win in your first AAA game, so we could finally do the Iggy Suarez story. That was a year in the making, so that was fun to watch. Sure. I want to get into you in a second, but before we get there, I do think people want to know, since you are kind of the de facto guy on Chad Tracy's shoulder for the past year, what is Chad Tracy like?
I mean, he's a guy, he's a baseball guy through and through. He's got the pedigree, you know, with his dad managing in the big leagues and being able, and growing up in the game, growing up in the clubhouse. But I guess more than that, just the kind of person he is. I mean, he's a guy that wants to establish relationships and is genuine about it. Not just because, I'm in the manager position and I got to get to know these guys. Like, it's a genuine care for the person first, and then it's the player, and then it's the coach or staff member. I mean, to be able to have that attribute in a manager is huge, and he had that. He had that. I mean, to see him go through his routine on a daily basis and being like in the office with him and to kind of see how he does it at this level, you know, was cool to see. You know, like I've done it as a manager, and you get into spots where you're anxious and you're upset about things and you wish things worked out the way, and, you know, just being the manager, so you kind of sympathize with that. But at this level, I've never got to experience that. So to be able to kind of see how he handles that, the media, the moves, the closeness to the big league team, and to see all that, I mean, I couldn't have a better seat to see that. And I have a better person to kind of like follow, to be able to kind of see how he goes about his business. You know, what can I take from him at some point when I do have a chance to manage AAA and all this stuff, and kind of taking tidbits here and there from him. And that's how he is, to be able to learn from him in that sense, to be able to be cool, calm, and collect. Like, and he shows it. I mean, we try to pride ourselves on kind of trying to be, you know, we deal with our stuff. We have stuff we have to worry about, but at the end of the day, we're in a position where we want to be able to kind of maintain the sanity of a clubhouse, of a staff, of a long season, and he does a good job doing that. And also too, at times, that to help calm him down, you know. So to be able to know and see him go through that, you know, and it's awesome. And like I said, there's no better person for the job he's in now. And you know, he's a guy for me, man. I said it last year. You know, he's a role model of like consistency and being able to attention to detail, and I take pride in that myself. And to see someone else and see him do it, you know, it's just a guy that I admire in that sense. And I've only got to know him maybe 2 years, really, like, and seeing him up close. So that's one thing. And you see how he is with his family, you know, with Emily and the kids, and you see that, and like you root for guys like that, the outside looking in, but to be able to kind of be in the room with him and see all that, like it touches you, it gets you, man, and you get emotional about things, about how that's how the game is. And when you see someone like Trace get the opportunity that he has right now, you're happy for him, and like it's something that, again, unfortunate circumstances of how he got there and where we are right now, but for him to get the opportunity he has now, like that's something that us as baseball lifers and grinders, you know, hope to reach at some point, and he's there right now.
Yeah, it's funny. That makes me think of, we had JP Ricciardi on our last podcast, and the quote from Moneyball is, "How can you not be romantic about baseball?" And I think Chad Tracy's story is like that. I think your story is kind of like that too, especially now. So I want to transition to you a little bit now. So Iggy Suarez, you grew up in New York, just outside the Bronx. You got into baseball, I think, because of your older brother, and you kind of never looked back. Yeah. You were drafted by the Rangers, Texas Rangers, in the 34th round out of high school, but you decided to go to college anyway. Why was that decision not to go to the Rangers and to play college baseball?
Yeah. So first, I grew up outside the Bronx, but born and raised in Queens. Different borough. I got to represent Queens and Corona, Queens as well. But yeah, just growing up, I mean, getting that love from the game. You know, I'm the youngest. I was the baby of the family, so I was a crybaby. I say was. I mean, I probably still am to my family, but getting that love for the game, I always did everything that my brother wanted to do. So he started playing the game, and I followed suit. You know, I was the annoying kid wanting to do all that stuff and play like. And I was fortunate enough to grow up in a neighborhood where I was able to have a big group of friends and play outside and throw the ball around and whatever sport was in season, we were able to do that. So, but I think our sport was baseball. Like that's something that we gravitated to. My brother did that, and then I followed suit. You know, he played high school baseball, played a little bit of college, and I think that love of the game for me came from that, and obviously just the support that I was able to get from my family to do that, because they sacrificed a lot for us to play in the summer. And, you know, they put off summer vacations till later in the summer because we had, you know, the season, or if we were in the championship, you know, we were leaving at one point supposed to drive down to Florida, and the championship was that weekend, and we put off that vacation for another week. And my parents didn't have to do that, you know, like they could have been like, yeah, we're out of here, and, you know, good luck on the season, you know, on the game, and we had to go. But they sacrificed stuff like that for us to be able to do that. So I was very fortunate to have that support system from the start at young, and it hasn't changed. You know, like me going to college and then being able to get to the position where I drafted out of high school. Like the support. I think I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for the support of the family.
It takes a village, right? And a lot of sacrifices.
Even now, like thinking about it, kind of gets. I'm getting the frog in my mouth. I'm clearing my throat because I'm like, you think about like what the game has given me. You know, the opportunity to be in this game for a long time, but at the same time, like, there's a reason also that I'm in the game. Is my family was able to kind of support me to do that, and I'm very fortunate to have that. For sure.
Yeah, family is understandably the reason why we're all do what we do and get emotional. I think you have a frog in your throat because I haven't provided water for you like I usually do, so that's my fault. Now, I mentioned you got drafted by the Rangers. You elected to go to college, and then you were drafted by the Red Sox in the 24th round. Before that moment, I think because you're now locally in New England, you played for the Wareham Gatemen in the Cape Cod Baseball League. What was that experience like? Obviously, you've never really probably been to New England much or Cape Cod, so what was that like for you?
That was cool because, I mean, you hear about the Cape Cod League, you hear about the stories and how awesome it is, the experience, and you see the movie, you see someone catch you, like, oh, no, I'm gonna be a part of that whole deal. So the experience, that was cool. I played half a season because the first half I was taking classes during the summer, and my college coach knew their president of operations at the time and called us like, hey, we need an infielder. Do you know anyone? And he was like, yeah, I have somebody here that probably will fit. I had the opportunity to go, and I went. So I kind of joined the team that was already in the mix of everything, and I kind of just show up. But that whole experience of summer baseball, but just summer baseball in the Cape, the best collegiate league, wood bat, you're working, you have a job in the morning, you're working. So that was an adjustment for me because I'm like, okay, this is kind of like pro baseball. Like, I have to work. I'm already kind of working, but having that whole experience of like, you're amongst, the best college players in the country. And like, this is kind of what pro ball is going to be like. You go from like being the best player, and then all of a sudden you're on a team where everybody in that team was the best player everywhere they played. So it's like, it kind of humbles you a little bit, and it kind of shows you or stacks you up with where you are on the totem pole. Like, oh, I thought I was good. I think I'm still pretty good, but those guys are really good, So that experience was cool. And I think having that little bit of a time there kind of probably helped me get drafted by the Red Sox. That summer, the next draft, we had about 5 or 6 guys drafted by the Red Sox on that team. So I was like, it was a good thing we kind of played here, and we're close to New England to kind of see us play. So that experience is awesome. School bus, we're going out to, to Bourne and Orleans and all that stuff, and experience New England. And I mean, I got on an off day, I went whale watching. I thought, sounds cool, and I get on a boat. I don't get seasick. I've never been a guy that does that, but I got seasick on the boat, and experiencing that, like, oh, whale watching sounds kind of cool. Let's see it. And when you see a whale like up to the boat, like, it blows your mind. So like having all that experience as a college kid, just your world's getting a little bit bigger. You think you know everything as a college kid, but seeing that kind of like it kind of give you a little glimpse of what it could be in the future. Like if you do get to pro ball, and that kind of just jump started everything.
Yeah, it's funny. I think they cut the whale watching scene out of Summer Catch. I don't think they had Freddie Prinze Jr. throwing up on the boat.
It was a part 2. I throw that in.
You play with some pretty good guys. You mentioned 5 or 6 guys for the Red Sox. Scott Kazmir wasn't drafted by the Red Sox, I don't think, but he was on your team then too.
So yeah, that team, Matt Merton, David Murphy, David Sanders, so Chris Durbin. I played with Scott Kazmir later on in my career in independent ball. But like just being able to play with guys like that, at the start of their career, and then you see them in pro ball, and then next thing you know, like David Murphy had almost 10 years in the big leagues, and you think back, like, man, we played against each other in college when you were in Baylor and I was at Southwest Texas, and you kind of reminisce on those days, and you think about, like, that's when you realize when you get to leagues like that, and when you get to pro ball, that's where you guys, the separators, so be able to play with guys like that and see them in the Cape at such a young age, and you would think, like, okay, these are the real guys that you read about in Baseball America. Back then, the internet was still coming up, and not as bad, but like, again, you see stuff, you see guys on Baseball America, and all you do is read about them, and then when you see them live and playing, so be able to play with guys like that get to the big leagues kind of quick, and you kind of reminisce, like, oh, it's kind of cool that I play with guys like that. But yeah, when you get into pro ball, you got Matt Merton, David Murphy, and guys like that, so it's kind of cool.
Definitely a cool summer experience, and you parlayed that into getting drafted by the Red Sox. You moved your way up to the minor leagues, and you got to AAA, like we are here today, Pawtucket, I think in 2009. And then you played a couple years at indie ball. How do you kind of use your experience as a player, where you went from single A to double A to triple A? I think you got hurt at the end of your career, but you were still trying to play, still trying to keep on, because you're a huge athlete. You love the game. You wanted to keep playing as long as you could, right? How do you use maybe that experience as a player, and and maybe never get into the show, but obviously working your way up the ladder in a farm system. How do you use that now in your current role?
I think it's just understanding. I mean, it's the grind of a season. Like this is hard. This is hard to do. A lot of people think, you're playing baseball for a living. You're in the game of baseball for a living. How bad could that be? I mean, it's granted. I mean, we don't take it for granted. This is a great opportunity for what we do, but it's tough. We're away from our family, so that in itself is tough. The grind of a season, you're failing most of the time in this game, and dealing with that is tough. We grow up being the best kid on the MVPs on our little league team, and being the best player on the team for a long time, and then you get to pro ball, and it's like, yeah, you're good, but this is professional baseball. So learning how to deal with the failure on a daily basis during a long season, and that's one season. But if you're going multiple seasons, and if you're lucky enough, to be able to play a long time, and it's being able to deal with the ups and downs, the long road trips, and the experiences that I've had as a player, I share with them. Not to say hey, I've been through it, and if I've been through it, you could do it. It's that easy. No, it's me sympathizing with them. Hey, man, you're struggling right now. You don't feel too good, and you're pissed off and upset. I get it, and you should, and that's okay. That's okay to do it. I think sometimes they're thinking that the response they're gonna get from me is hey, suck it up. You're a baseball player. You can deal with this. Nah, you know what? This is hard, man. So I get it. I'm in the grind with you. I've been there. But the one thing I do tell them is hey, but you're gonna come out better on the other side of this. It's gonna take some time. Trust me in that sense. And the only way that they'll realize it is when they get through it themselves. I can tell them till they're blue in the face, this is what's gonna happen. And they're gonna be okay, but I was you know what? You gotta experience it. Other players experience it in different times in their career. Some guys take longer, some guys get it quicker and they get to the big leagues and they have a long career. I didn't get to the big leagues, but I was able to kind of deal with stuff throughout the years of, being able to play every day, and then my playing time getting cut down, and then not playing every day, and then being the guy that plays one day a week. Having those experiences, I helped them. I was hey, you'll come out better on the other side. Trust me, mentally, this game will crush you, But going through that and being able to kind of deal with that, you'll be stronger. You'll be thick-skinned a little bit, and being able to deal with that. Again, not going to get any easier. I'm not going to say that once you get through that hump, it's all sunshine now. I got through it. I could get to the big leagues now. No. Once you realize that, baseball will tell you right away, it'll knock you down, and it'll test you one more time. So it's always that experience that I share with those guys. Hey, I got you, man. I know it's tough. It is. I feel it. But you know what? Let's lean on each other on the experience. You'll get through it. Just be able to have the patience to do that. And that's what I kind of bring with the journey that I've had as a, career minor leaguer and a grinder in the game that I think that I am. Just being able to do that, let them know hey, it'll get better. Believe it or not, if you think you're low, you can't get any lower. The only way is to go up. So there's just kind of stick to the grind and the work they put in is something that's key.
Now, I had mentioned your playing career came to an end. I think you were hit by a pitch on your hand. Did you break your hand?
Yeah. That was the last pitch I saw, August 26th. Left hand, broke my 4th and 5th metacarpal. Yep.
But you're still hoping to maybe play, but then I think you got a phone call one day that kind of came out of the blue. Can you tell us about that and how you got into coaching? Yeah, so broke my hand, ended my season. I didn't think at that point that I was going to end my career. I thought to myself, oh, well, here's the season. Here we go. Kind of sucks. I was getting hurt a lot, so then now it's this. So was healing from that, rehabbing, and then was starting to, still swing the bat, take ground balls, get ready for the season, But again, in independent ball during that point of the career, it's not like you're guaranteed a phone call. You're just hoping okay, if somebody calls, I'll be ready. And then it's, February, March. By that time, I already had a couple of years of independent ball, so I know around that time, I'm not gonna get a call. I'll get a call later on because the independent league started a little later. So I know, okay, maybe, you're always hopeful. February, March, nobody calls. Then now it's April, now it's May, and I'm not hearing anything. And I'm like, ooh, man, we're getting late in the season. And nothing's really happening. So a friend of mine in Houston was starting a travel ball team, so he'd asked me, he's like, hey man, and this was right at the end of the season, right when I broke my hand. He had called me, he's like, hey, starting this travel team, 13-year-olds, you want to coach in the off season, kind of make some money and kind of stay in the game a little bit, that access the batting cages where you could swing. So I was like, yeah, I'm in. I was like, but just know I have a cast on. And he's like, yo, perfect, don't worry about it. So we're starting to do that. And then I'm coaching third base one day and I get a phone call.
saw the name pop up, Duncan Webb. He had called me a year before that, offered me a chance to interview for a hitting coach position in the system. And I turned it down because I still had that fire to play. So I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to do that yet. I think I still want to play. And I turned it down. And as soon as I turned it down, I was like kicking myself. I was like, damn, maybe I should have done it. But I still wanted to play. So I think for me, I've heard other people say like, hey, when you're done, you want to be fully done. You know, so, and I haven't felt that feeling. Yes, I still want to play. So I get that call, coach at third base, almost kind of similar to what happened kind of here. Not as great as on that same level, but get on the phone, and I'm thinking to myself, he was like, hey, Iggy's Duncan. And my craziness in my head was like, I'm back. Red Sox calling me to kind of sign a free agent contract or just, somewhere in the minor leagues. And he was like, hey, how's everything going? I was like, I'm just coaching here. And he's like, hey, so are you still playing? Still thinking of playing? So when he said that, I was like, oh, he's going to probably think, like, what do I feel about coming to play? And I'm like, nah, right now I'm just getting ready just in case somebody calls. And then he presented a position that we were doing for assistant coach, first base, for our short season club at the time, the Lowell Spinners, and what I thought about it. And I'm like, and then very quickly, I started thinking about it. I haven't got any phone calls to play. And he was like, look, I know this is kind of quick. Think about it. Take a day or two, talk with your family, and get back to me. So then I kind of hung up the phone and thought about it, spoke to my parents, and my mom at one point was like, you have any health insurance? And I'm like, no. So that kind of like that adult realization, like I'm 30-something years old, like I got to think about, So then I've come to the realization, I was like, I think I'll take this. I'll try this. And then good thing, I was very fortunate. The Red Sox said, hey, we'll go through this trial period and then we'll reconvene in August and kind of talk about it, see if you like it, see if we like it, and then we'll go from there. So I was like, okay, maybe if I put on the uniform and be a coach, if I still have that fire, I have the opportunity to tell them, I don't know if it's going to work out. So that was kind of a nerve-wracking experience in itself. But once I got the uniform and I got to the coach's side, I told myself, those playing days are over. The body, for me to prepare for the season was tough, and I was starting to like that. So that was kind of how I got into that coaching side in 2014, and then here we are today, still here.
Yeah, 12 years later. Alachua Park, Lowell Spinners. I got some good memories from my high school days, coaching even. I coached there a couple of games for summer ball, and I always spent a couple of days as a reporter. It's unfortunate that we don't have baseball games, like the Lowell Spinners are no longer there, but that's where you got your first manager job. Was it a year later that you were named manager?
It was 2 years later. So 14, I was the assistant. 15, I was the hitting coach for the Lowell Spinners, and then 16 became the manager.
And then you were manager for the Spinners, and then did the Spinners just become the Greenville Drive this time?
No, I mean with the whole, when they did the reshifting of the leagues and the teams and everything, the Drive, they weren't there yet. They were there, but they were still part of the affiliate. But again, they just reallocated all those leagues and all the teams, and the Lowell Spinners weren't the Lowell Spinners era. But yeah, so when I was there, 16 to 17 managing, and then made the jump up to 18 in Greenville. So yeah, I was there 2 years managing in Lowell.
Anyone in Lowell, like big name players that you had there as a first-time manager or second-year manager?
I mean, Bobby Dahlback. So my first year managing in Lowell, and we ended up winning the first half, got to the playoffs, made me look like I was going to be manager of the decade. Like I was like, this is easy, but had good players, Jason Groom was on that team, Bobby Dahlback, Darwinson Hernandez was on that pitching staff. So to be able to see those youngins there, they were kids then, but I was fortunate to kind of see that. So yeah, Bobby Dahlback, we got from college, he was Arizona, pitcher, two-way player at the time. He only DH'd for us because I think he had just came out of the College World Series too, and he came with us, and they were like, hey, he might be on the mound, he might play some third base. And when you see him hit, I was like, he's not going to play any of those, but he's going to hit right now. So that was kind of the one thing to see, guys like coming out of college and the way he, jumped on the scene, going the opposite way, hitting the ball the opposite way like a left-handed hitter would, so. But yeah, those are probably the names that would jump out for me in my first year managing in 2016. In 2015 is the year we had Andrew Benintendi. So that was my year as a hitting coach. And people will bring it up to me like, oh man, you had Benintendi as hitting coach. You probably showed him some stuff. And I was like, honestly, all I did was put the ball on the tee, and he was just like, this guy was good. I was like, I don't want to make it seem like he got to me and then I gave him something and he became Andrew Benintendi. No, he was Andrew Benintendi when he got there. And he was, like I said, he was hurt a little bit when he got there. So again, he was on his rehab. And I remember the first swings he took. We were in the batting cage in Connecticut, and I put the ball in the tee, and that first swing was right up back, line drive back up the cage. That's when I knew I was like, this kid's gonna be a big leaguer. That made different. So that was a cool experience in 2015.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Tenney, a lot of people know as like one of the last guys to make the jump from AA to the big leagues. I think we actually recently kind of have one here with Eduardo Rivera. He came to AAA Worcester for one day and then went up to big leagues. I think there's another one I'm missing, and Red Sox Twitter will make fun of this,
they'll let us know.
But Ben Tenney, that's a great. And then you parlayed your experience with the Low Spinners into, I think, parts of 7, if not 7 full seasons. It might have been 8 years with the Greenville Drive as their manager before coming here to AAA Worcester last year as kind of the de facto bench coach, third base coach. What was the experience like just being a manager? Like, you were a young guy learning how to become a manager of a clubhouse. I know a little bit lower level, and all the guys are pretty young, so you're almost like a halftime babysitter and a parent, if you will, and obviously a manager. What was that? How did you use that experience to make yourself ready to make the jump to AAA and be in Chad Tracy's red ear?
I think, I was very green as a young manager. Like, you're right. You get these kids at that lower levels, and a lot of these guys are away from home for the first time. And even when they go to college, like being away from college, like they're on their own for the first time. So you're teaching them how to play the game, but you're teaching them how to be away from home and kind of fend for themselves a little bit. And you're teaching them how to be professionals. Like time management is a huge thing, to be able to be on time. And now that you're a professional, like, hey, we expect you to be responsible. There's gonna be some growing pains. You would hope that you would tell them one time, hey, the bus is at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, be ready to go get some rest. They're gonna sleep late. We all sleep late, but they're gonna wake up late. They're gonna be late for the bus. So you're gonna have to like teach them how to be responsible, learning how to manage their time. Like, that's important. So like, there's growing pains for that. And it's frustrating as a young manager of being green, and like, it was a huge learning curve for me. Like, I don't wanna say that the players had a bunch of, like, I had to learn a lot of stuff for myself to know that at some point, it took me a couple of years to really realize, like, you know what, like, I was in their shoes at one point too. So like, I gotta cut them some slack. I gotta cut myself some slack to be like, okay, this is tough for them. My transition, I went through that in college. I used my college years to kind of learn that. Even when I got to Pro Bowl, thinking I had years of experience in college, I still learned stuff as an older guy, senior sign, coming into Pro Bowl. So imagine these guys coming out of high school, the Latin players coming out of the Dominican Republic, of Puerto Rico, all these guys that are even younger going through that. So like, I was tough, man. I was tough on the sense that like, probably guys didn't like me because I was always riding them. I never cut them some slack. I was on them when they were late. First time, the last time I was always on them. And I think now, like, I think back and I was like, man, that was kind of a pain in the ass. Like, sorry, I didn't curse on it, but just kind of like a pain. And so I kind of like learned from that. I learned from how like the players respond to me, and I put myself at one point in their shoes. Like, man, who's the guy that I would want to play for? Who that I would run through a wall with, and being able to be on a grind. And then it brings me back to the managers that I played for. Like, who are the guys that I would go to war with if something went down? Like, I'm gonna be right behind them. And that, So I think about that, and I was able to kind of let my guard down. Let the guys know that I'm human. And I think that, when finally years later, when players saw that, they were so used to me being very hard nosed and like, there's a wall here, like nothing bothers me. Nothing is never gonna get to me. There was a point when I showed vulnerability, and they were like, holy crap, like, he's got feelings and he's got a heart, and they almost thought it was like, okay, he's doing this for a reason, like there's something up, and I was honestly like, no, like this is what it is. Like, this is a grind, and it's tough on me, and I know it's tough on you. Not that almost like I feel sorry, but it was almost like, and you kind of see the energy kind of just go, they were able to kind of be like, all right. So like, and it helped me, it cut me some slack too. So that, again, it took me years to learn that as a manager, and again, and I try to let the player, that's the one thing I'm letting the players know, like, hey man, I know I'm the manager, I know we're the staff member, like, we don't know everything, and we'll let you know we don't know everything, but we do know a little bit more than you do, but we don't know everything. So that's the one thing I say, hey, and if we don't know something, we'll tell you, like, hey, I don't know. And we'll find a way to find the answer and come back to the players. So like, learning that, to go through that to the grind of with the players and let them know, like, because this is a long grind of a season. And it's like, we want to put them in the position to succeed. and we have the best interest of the player, and to help them do that, we want them to be comfortable. And if we have a man that's on there, just in your face, boom, boom, and they're not comfortable, that's tough. So I learned that as my career got on, that I was able to do that. And now at this level, that's helped me. You know, where you're around players that have been around the game for so long, that their journeys are so much experience, overseas, big leagues. They're back down here trying to get to the big leagues and all that stuff. So be able to kind of relate and being like, hey man, this is a reminder, like we get to play a game, man, and you're pretty good at it. You've played 10, 15 years and got yourself some slack, have some fun. You know, you try to go back to as simple as possible with these guys, you know? Like, hey, this is a good time. Let's you know, cherish these moments. Like, this is a small window of our life, believe it or not. You know, like, we have our long life to live, and hopefully we do, but let's be able to kind of like step back and be like, let's have a good time, let's have some fun. You know, this is a good thing. It's a long season, we're around each other, we're annoying each other a lot of times, but let's have a good time doing it.
100%. Now, going from green in Greenville to a little salt and pepper here in Worcester, last week, after you were named acting manager, you were on the road trip to Rochester. Yep. On your way back, it was your birthday. I'm not going to say your age because I have respect for you.
The grades will probably show a little bit, yeah.
But on your way back, I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that night or that day, you had let your second person that you told about an MLB call-up, Alec Gamboa, whether it was on the trip when you got back here. Can you tell us how you let Gamboa know on your birthday about him getting called up to the big leagues? Yeah,
so we left Rochester. We were on the bus. We get a call from our farm director, letting us know, like, hey, Alec Gamboa is going to the big leagues. Let him know. You know, and it was a quick conversation, like, hey, let him know, and they call me back as soon as you can. I'm like, okay, awesome. You know, like, I get excited for stuff like that because I know the player's going to be excited. You think about how his journey was. So I get off the phone. Noah Junius is sitting behind me, and there go my glasses. Noah just sitting behind me, and I'm like, hey, is Alec on the bus? And he's like, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, damn it. Like, I was hoping to kind of tell him in person. I was like, let me check for myself, kind of walk up, look to the back, realize he's not on, so I get to the front, call him on the phone. Then I don't think he answered the first time. And I'm like, all right, well, he doesn't recognize my number. My name did probably come over the phone. And I was like, this would really suck if he can't answer the phone. And I'm trying to get him. So he answered the second time and told him who it was. I was like, hey, Tig, you know, you doing all right? He's like, yeah, I'm good. And I was like, hey, just want to give you some pretty cool news, man. You'll get some travel here set up, but you're going to the big leagues. And you kind of, there's a little bit of silence on his end. And I guess I can only imagine the look on his face, you know, and he's like, kind of like, can't believe it. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. He's like, man, he goes, sweet, man. And you kind of see him like, it seemed like he wanted to be loud, but it's on the bus. And I'm like, hey, just keep it quiet for now. I was like, I would love to tell you in person. I was like, we're probably going to stop here in about a couple of hours and halfway to rest area, and we'll talk more then. So hung up the phone, and we get to the rest stop, and then was just two buses. I get off my bus, and I didn't get in. I go inside. Yeah, I'm waiting for him to come off the bus so I can say congratulations, give him a hug, and you know, kind of give him some props and everything. But all these other players are coming off the bus before him, and I guess that's when they realized then that it was my birthday, and they didn't say anything earlier. So guys are like, "Hey man, happy birthday!" And they're standing there. I'm standing there, and they're hugging me, and I'm like, I'm not standing here expecting these hugs. I'm like waiting for Alec Gamboa to get off the bus. So like it was like an awkward kind of situation to be like, I'm not here to be like, yeah, happy birthday, come hug me. I'm like, no, I'm waiting for Gamboa to get off the bus. So he gets off and I see him, and you can see the smile on his face, you know, kind of give him a hug, and you can see him kind of realizing the news that he's just received, and you know, you're happy for guys like that, you know, and then you see fast forward. You know, you see him in Detroit, and then you see it cuts to his family in the stands, and you see all that. So that was a cool experience to kind of see when you see somebody having that journey and finally gets to the big leagues. It's fun.
Yeah, for Gamboa, I think you mentioned Detroit. His family, at the end of the game, they showed him just sitting like we are right now in the dugout, taking the moment. I think people from the bullpen were coming after the game. They come in, he gives them dabs. It's a great moment. It's an MLB call-up. It's the first time ever. He's pitched overseas. He's a little bit older. It's a fun bus ride from Rochester Story, probably better than most bus rides from Rochester. It's your birthday, and it's a call-up after a long 6-game road trip. So your other MLB call-up, since you've been manager of the WooSox, acting manager, is Jake Bennett, who I saw his first start in the major leagues, also Chad Tracy's first day at Fenway Park, too. What was it like to give him the call? I don't know if that was in person either. I know we were all waiting for the call.
Yeah.
News, what was that like?
So that was over the phone too. But again, we kind of knew what was going on. You know, he was going to start here, but we pushed it back so there was kind of like a anticipation of when he was going to get the call. And I'm sure he knew it, but he's such a guy that's so even keeled. Like, you don't know if he's happy, you don't know if he's upset, and that's a good thing to have. But again, it's almost like we always look at Ben as like, I'm trying to figure this guy out, man. And, you know, but he's nonchalant. You have conversations with you. Like, he's a team guy. So to be able to, we're at the hotel and I got the call and I was like, well, okay, we're all here. I'm sure he's at dinner. I don't want to be going around knocking on the doors and all. I was like, let's just give him a call, let Dan know. Came over to my room, had him on speakerphone. And again, let him know, like, hey, man, this is the call that you've been waiting for. I know it's been a couple days and you're going to the big leagues. And it's like he had just found, you know what I'm saying, like, anticipated he was knowing it, but like, again, the reaction, he was like, sweet, no way. And it was like, me and Dan were like, don't yell on the phone. Like, it was just so like, but the excitement again, that's almost like, hey, I wish it was in person, but like, yep, you've been preparing for this. You've been doing your job and now you're getting the opportunity, man. So like, to be able to kind of, like, again, I'm always going to say, like, it's hearing that first initial excitement from those guys, it's awesome, and being able to deliver that news. But yeah, and then see him on Fenway doing the job that he did, but then see him like the smile, and he can't stop smiling. And it's like, that's what I think as a coach and a staff member, you want players to have the experience, to have that feeling of knowing, not to say that, oh, we were part of that, but no, like, man, that's a dream. That's the dream come true for him, man. And you see him work and grind and the worker that he is, and you're just happy for guys like that. Yeah,
it's so funny that you mentioned Bennett's reaction because I like to compare, like, Bennett's a 6'6" left-handed pitcher from Oklahoma, just like Peyton Tolley. Yep. If you talk to Peyton Tolley, you're going to get a tsunami of water. If you talk to Jake Bennett, you're going to get a drip. And that's no shade to either one because they're different personalities. But Bennett was the happiest I've ever seen him. And I saw him, like I said, I saw him pregame at Fenway Park before start. Usually we don't talk to pitchers before their start, especially their MLB debuts. I just said, hey, man, good luck. Nice seeing you. When did you get in? And then postgame, the Boston media talked to him for the first time. And we were actually in this dugout last time Bennett was here in Worcester after his last start before getting kind of put in limbo on ice. And a 17-year-old broadcaster from Newton North High School was asking Bennett questions about the team and his last start. And he said, hey, how's pitching at Fenway Park? And Bennett's like, well, I wouldn't know. I've never been. And then fast forward nine days later, Nostradamus here, Bennett's pitching at Fenway Park. And so he was so happy post-game. He didn't stay much either, but he said a dream come true. He said he's excited. And those are moments that you live for, right, as a manager now, as a coach, to tell these players, whether it's Alec Gamboa, who's a little bit older, or Jake Bennett, who's a little bit younger, that they're actually going to the major leagues. Yeah, I mean, it's they've been wanting that since they picked up a baseball. You know, that's the dream when you're playing a game and you're playing Little League is, I want to be a Major League Baseball player. And then, think about it, and then you're like, yep, I'm about to tell this pitcher that he's going to be a Major League pitcher, a Major League Baseball player. And there's not a lot of Major League players, and he's going to be one of them. And, you're excited for them, Now, before I let you go, obviously, we got some good players here. We'll have some players come up and down. That's the nature of AAA. You're kind of got your feet wet now as the acting manager of the Worcester Red Sox. Kind of what are your goals for the rest of the season? I think now it's just to be able to get the players still on routine and getting the work in there, because that's the most important part, to be able to have the players still on their routines. I mean, it's a whirlwind of what's going on, new positions. I'm in a new position, but for me, I want to be able to put the players in a position to succeed. That's what we want. Those guys are trying to get to the big leagues, get back to the big leagues, and stay in the game. So that's our job, to make sure that they're getting the work in. As long as they're on routine, they're getting the stuff that they need to get done, us as a staff will adjust, and I got guys on my staff that are experienced at this level, which is very fortunate for me that I can lean on them. And then also, like I said, it's just be able to kind of prepare them, whether they get the call to get to the big leagues and help Trace out. That's another crazy thing. It's a personal touch, be able to get those guys in a position where they can contribute at the big league level, and I'm learning that also. But again, I lean on the experience that I had as a manager, even in A-ball. We did it, the mentality was, let's get these guys prepared for AA, and then those guys in AA prepare for AAA. So that mentality hasn't changed, but that's what I'm going to be, that's going to be my role.
not much different than what my role was before. But the only thing is now I get to make the lineup every day, and I get to decide what time we show up to the ballpark at sometimes. But again, it's being able to get the players the work that they need to prepare for the game and for the season and for the careers. And hopefully that goes along smoothly. Will there be some bumps? Of course. Will things fall through the crack? Of course. And I let the guys know that. Like, as soon as we got to Rochester, I was able to kind of talk to them, be like, bear with me. There's going to be stuff that falls through the cracks. I know, I'm just giving you a heads up, but just we'll keep things business as usual. Let's keep things moving. And not like hey, feel sorry for me. And if I forget, like, no, just know, like, you're number one priority for us, for you guys. So just know that. And that's going to be my role, to make sure that they're as comfortable as they can be, because they're the ones out there performing. And that's a tough game to play. And they're the ones out there on a day-to-day, night-to-night basis grinding it out. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch you guys grind it all season. And I know we weren't expecting this year, but it's going to be fun to talk with you every day. And I really do appreciate you coming on Cast Quarter Podcast.
Oh, man, of course, anytime. And stuff like this is cool to be able to kind of talk the game and kind of hang out. And it has been fun with how crazy it's been. I mean, the past couple of days, you kind of try to kind of lighten the mood up a little bit. And there's only so much we can do or so much we can't control. But yeah, this is awesome, man. Anytime. And thanks for having me.
We'll see you all season here at Florida Park. So thanks to Iggy Suarez for joining me here on Cast Quarter Podcast. You can watch this podcast on YouTube. And you can also listen on Apple Music, iTunes, or Spotify, or wherever you subscribe to podcasts. So until next time, I'm Tommy Cassell, and thanks for checking in.